I'm alive!
Taz101 Saga is alive. Can you believe that? I can't believe it myself sometimes. Question 1. Is your channel dead? You hardly make videos anymore. Well, that's all about to change. I'm not working full time at the moment, so I've got enough time to make them, should I not be too busy. Question 2. Do you still go to the War and Peace show? Not recently, I haven't been since, 2015. This year, instead of going to War and Peace, I went to the Airsoft Weekender, because I've sort of got back into doing Airsoft again, because although I love collecting, sometimes I like to actually get out there and wear some of it and actually get physically involved in something and meeting people and socialising, stuff like that, you know. That's kind of why I haven't sort of been to War and Peace in a way. I've sort of been doing that instead. I'm not saying I'll never go again, but the other reason I used to go a lot is because I used to buy DX and stuff. Now the European Union has just fundamentally and royally fucked all that up for collectors over here and the rest of Europe. It doesn't really appeal to me, so there's not going to be any new DX, I'm afraid. Apart from the two that I bought nearly 2 years ago now, which I still haven't done a video on. I was lucky to get those just before all that came in. That's the Maxim and the Bren. I will try and get around to those at some point. There's just a lot of other things to do. Right, I've been asked this a bugger load of times for anyone who likes my German loader. Which airsoft sites do you go to? I've only ever been to Ground Zero Woodland. That's the only site I currently play at on and off at the moment, but I want to start going regularly again once I've got some more cash. The trouble with me is instead of going a lot, I tend to spend it on new things, and then I go and play with those new things for a while, and then I buy another load of new things, so I sort of play on and off. I do want to go to other sites. I'd quite like to try the tunnels in Portsmouth, Combat South, the Mall one day. I'd quite like to try that. A bit of urban pain, you know, it's all part of the fun. I want to do a German airsoft loadout. What should I buy first and where? Well, of course, common sense dictates a uniform is a hell of a good place to start, because that's going to be your basis for your impression, obviously. If you've already got that, then the next thing you should get is your equipment belt. That's the leather belt with your HERE buckle on it. Now, the reason I say that is because that's what everything else, pretty much everything else you carry, attaches to somewhere at some point. So if you haven't got that, there's not much point in getting the other things. So I get that first. I run a reproduction leather equipment belt with an original buckle from 1940. Some of you might not want to do that. I can understand that because the buckles are expensive, but instead of getting a repro one, I just took it off my original one. Good sites to buy from for stuff like that. I try to get original where I can, but if it's something that is most likely to be damaged in further use, being already 70 years old, I don't use it. There's some things that I have in my collection which I'll never actually take to a skirmish, being that it's original and fragile. Things that are still pretty solid, like metal items, I mean, you can use them, like my mess tin and my canteen and stuff like that, that's all original. Bread bags original, but as long as they're in good shape. But if you want to buy repro, that's fine. A lot of my stuff's repro as well. Military.net is a good site to go to for reproduction stuff. I definitely rate them above Epic Military, which is where most people I speak to have got their things. I just think the appearance and the quality of the military stuff is just better, depending on what you get. It's not the best out there. You know, if you really dig and dig, you can find some even better repros. But they've just sort of got generically everything you'll need to really do a decent enough impression that looks the part. What's your favourite airsoft gun? God bloody hell, I get asked this a lot, but I'm not really sure if they mean favourite that I own or just favourite that exists. I'll answer both in that case. I think that sniper rifle that Novrich brought out, that looks pretty bloody nice. I've seen them in person, I've yet to use them, but everybody who's got one says they're fantastic. I quite like that GHK AKM, the gas blowback one, and I do actually want one of those. It's not something I'm imminently sort of planning to get in the near future, but it is something I want to get down the line. G&G MG42, I fired that. That is an amazing gun, even stock. It's brilliant. I mean, it cost over $1,000 for a bloody reason. In terms of gun I have, well, I'm going to be biased and say my MP40. You know, it's my little love child. I put a lot of money into upgrades of that gun. It's not the best performing gun I have. That would easily be my AK, because I've done a lot of upgrades to that. There's very few stock things left in that anymore. Right, got asked this by, I don't remember the guy's name, but just to answer you, in case anyone else got the same question. The blue and job on your MP40 looks really good, and I want to do the same to mine. What products did you use? Absolutely, it looks way better than the bloody matte black paint that you get on most of the sort of Chinese guns. The MP40s originally were hot blued, which is better than cold bluing, but hot bluing costs a lot of money to get all the right equipment, facilities and stuff like that, and you need a lot more space to do it. You can't just sort of do it indoors, no way. Requires a lot more expensive equipment. I used a cold bluing method. Now the products I use for that is the Robler degreaser, Ballistol Clever, that's it. It's actually called Schnellbrunnerung because it's a German product, which translates to browning, but don't be fooled, it's actually not a brown finish, it's a blue finish, it's just a translation error. I cleared that up with an email to them. So that's what you can get to do, that's what I use on everything I've blued. In Birchwood Caser you can use that, although I find that to be a little more fussy in terms of timing it all and stuff like that. Clever's a bit more forgiving, but it works very well if you put lacquer on it afterwards. As long as it's degreased, put some clear lacquer on it because that will just keep the water off it. Although other videos on the internet will not tell you to do that, I seriously recommend you do it because I've had not had a single issue with it even rubbing off from scratches or anything. There's a nice long-winded answer to that question. Will you ever make airsoft headcam videos? There's two reasons why I actually haven't. First off, I do actually have a HD Drift camera. It's one of the ones with sort of a fisheye style lens. It looks alright, but it's not the best. You really need the software to kind of get that to a good quality. The other reason is the site I play at's not particularly good visibility because it's very close in bushes, and the sort of thing that you're seeing with your own eyes is not really going to show on the camera. I can just tell from watching other people that make footage there. You can't really sort of see a whole lot going on. Plus, I don't really have a whole lot of moments which are particularly good on film. Because I'm in German gear and it's heavy and I'm not like a bloody athlete or anything. I don't tend to be sort of running and diving straight in the middle of the enemy and getting all the fun footage like players like Matt the Musketeer do, where he's often charging and getting all close up and personal and stuff like that. And I don't have all the setups or weapons to do videos like Novrich and Silo do and things like that. I mean, those are all great channels, but I think, you know, people love those channels. I don't really think I could top them if I tried, to be honest, because they've got the money and the time and the effort to actually, you know, put into doing stuff like that, whereas I don't. And that's pretty much why I haven't done helmet cam videos. I'm not saying I never will, but if I did, I wouldn't make it a habit, to be honest. It's unless I went to a different site where, say, if it was a bit more urban, you could actually see what's going on more clearly and make more sense of it. Then I might actually do it. Have you bought any new stuff recently? Cool, I've bought loads of bloody stuff since I last did a proper video like this. I wouldn't even know where to start. Most of it was upgrades for the guns I have, airsoft wise. I'm one of these people that doesn't tend to just endlessly buy guns. I just sort of buy a good gun out of the box that's good enough and upgradable, and I sort of work it out from there. I mean, I bought new stuff for the German gear, and every time I make a video like this showing what I bought, within a fortnight or a month I will have bought something else that I could have included. But so I'm pretty much always getting things, there's always things to add. At the Weekender I bought quite a lot of things for that, because the German stuff is obviously all wool when it gets terribly hot in the 25-26 degree weather we were having at that event, so I didn't even bother with the German stuff. I upgraded the hell out of my AK. I bought a Russian Flora uniform. This pattern, it's an original, it's actually straight from the Russian Federation. You can get them on eBay like that. There's UK sellers that import them, and they're only like 40 quid for a set. So if you want some nice camo that's just not the same as what everybody else has got, yeah, that's a good option. Alright, I got this as a self birthday present, or one of them. This is a German M31 Splinter Zeltbahn, which is part of a quarter tent, but the main reason I got it is you can also use it for a poncho. You can either carry it on as they did above the bread bag on the belt equipment, or on your white straps like so. That's what I prefer to do. It's a very useful item because it's very practical. It's not difficult to put on in a hurry or anything like that, because it's very sort of loose fitting over the body, and you can easily put your equipment on over it. I'll actually do a vid showing on how to do that, because I think there's only about one on the internet and it doesn't have tons of views, so I'll just put another option out there for people to find. Right, nice hard shell holster. I don't know how much this will show on the camera, but I've sort of aged this one. I don't know if the damage is really showing in the light. Another good thing to do is if you get some black shoe polish and you just go over the white stitching, it doesn't give it such a brand new appearance, and it makes it look a little more unclean. I don't really like when white stitching stands out like that, because obviously when you're crawling around the elements it's not going to stay white for long. Right, I guess I have to narrow it down to one last thing. Right, now a certain friend of mine will know exactly what this is, because he's the one who gave it to me. One of my best buddies in the history of buddies, Mr. Morgan Skjøven. He's my friend from Norway, who I met a few years ago. Hopefully you'll get to come over again somewhere so we can hang out some more. Now it's a Norwegian M31 helmet, which is actually not a very common helmet at all. Now the reason this one is white, some of them were white, but they were also this other colour. I don't know what the exact term for the colour is, so I'm not going to pretend I know. But right now it's white because that's actually white primer that I put on it. Now the reason I'm actually redoing this is because when it came to me, it had actually been painted up post-war as a construction helmet, because that's what a lot of these were converted to after the Second World War ended. The outside of it was yellow, and it had on the front here like a Norwegian construction logo and symbol and wording on it. So I took all that off, and oddly, when I took the top layer off, the same exact thing was underneath, but smaller. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I'm not sure why they changed it for the sake of making it a bit larger, but it didn't half make me laugh. Morgan's always saying to me that Norwegians don't make sense. That was proved to me the day I took the paint off this thing. If it was the original sort of military colour, I would have just left it as is, but I wanted to convert it back to its original appearance, so I am going to do that. Thank you very much again for this, Morgan. It's a shame it doesn't actually fit my head, because it's about 2 sizes too small, but it's still a really nice thing to have. It's not a very common helmet, so for that reason as well, I'm very glad that it's in my possession. Probably do an actual video on this, because I don't think there are any videos on these helmets, they're not very common. Right, time to wrap up with the unboxing. I've never done an unboxing before, so that'll be something different. I have actually never done an unboxing before. Reason for that is I don't really watch unboxings. I'm more of the guy who likes to watch reviews of guns from somebody who's actually used them a few times, rather than just, oh, I've taken that out of the box, it's great, yeah, go buy it. It's like, well, you don't really know that if you haven't used the damn thing. So, because of that reason, I'm not going to do like a full review or anything. It's just going to be an initial impressions. Right, so this is the WETech, or WETech, Walther P38 CP, or Classic Pistol. Now, you can either get it in the large or the small. It comes with a short barrel version with a suppressor, that exists, and it also comes with a silver. I got the standard black version, because that's, well, what they actually used. Service originals are obviously all in black, so it's a pretty nice box, to be honest, not going to lie there. Right, open that up. You're greeted with the usual old don't shoot yourself in the face, don't shoot other people, blah blah blah, Chinglish manual, you know, all that stuff. Most useful thing in there is actually that exploded diagram of all the parts and all the numbers. Other thing you get in the actual package is this Allen key. This is for adjusting the hop-up. It uses sort of a screw adjusted hop-up which is located above the chamber. Use it like, you know, as a tiny little thing for use with this Allen key. It's not the usual old Token Rui style sort of wheel. The bonus of this is you don't actually have to disassemble the gun each time to adjust it. You only have to lock the slide open. Then of course you're left with the pistol itself, which looks absolutely lovely in my opinion. It's a very nice recreation. Only downside, it doesn't actually have the markings like the Walther logo and P38 and a manufacturing code and a 2-digit date which they usually add up the front there. That would have been nice. The Maruzen version, the plastic one of this, does have the markings on, which is about the only thing it has over this one, in my opinion. Get rid of the box, nothing more to see there. I must say, this doesn't actually look exactly how it does out of the box. I'll explain why the barrel is darker than the slide, and the grips are a bit different. The reason the barrel's darker than the slide is I haven't got round to weathering that slightly yet. This is a very, very black sort when you get it. Although it's not like a matte black, it has like a sort of a sheeny tint to it, which is quite nice. What I have done to the grips on this, I've already given them a bit of a difference, which is why they look a slightly different colour. Normally they're exactly the same colour as the rest of the gun. Obviously it's not quite the case here. They're sort of a very, very light browny colour now, and that's because of some stuff I did to it, using a couple of different solvents and just sanding it down with some sandpaper and some grit and steel wool and stuff like that. And just, if you get like a screwdriver as well and you just scratch it and you get a wire wheel like you use on a drill, and literally just bash it with that and scrape it, and that'll give it like a sort of a field worn appearance. That looks pretty close to what the real grips actually look like on an original, because they're scratched up. Get some matte lacquer, clear lacquer, just spray the crap out of it to give it that sort of a sheeny Baker-like look like it would have had. It does have the heel release. That will expose your 15 round magazine. I don't know how well this will sort of do in the cold. I mean, it worked really well in my rather cold kitchen the day I tried it. I managed to get through a whole magazine and about four or five more rounds without any problems for the slide stopped cycling. So I don't see it being too bad in like lukewarm and warmer temperatures. It shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. The hill release takes a bit of getting used to, and the spring could be better. Sights are pretty basic. Not too bad though, they do the job. It's a double action, single action, so basically you cock it, put it on decock, put it back up again. First shot will obviously be double action, then it will cycle and it will be single action. Sounds very nice, because it's got that, obviously that full metal side to it. Now I'll get on to the only issue I actually had out of the box, and the actual issue was, this did not move. No problem now, as you can see, but when I got it, it would not move at all. Now the reason for that is, this brass piece back here is sprung loaded. Now if it's all the way forward, the hammer, the disconnector will not move. Now I had to get some pliers and actually pull it back, and I just worked it a few times to get it moving. It was just a little bit stuck in there. It needs a little bit of breaking in to work properly. You got a nice little loop there to put a lanyard on if you wish to use one of those. Now the only other issue I've had, which is not strictly the gun, but I will mention it. This is the spare magazine, which I've got in the holster. I'll show that in a minute. Now, the thing that's a bit odd with this one, I'm not 100% sure why this is, because I compared these two magazines side by side, and I can't actually find any sort of dimensional differences between the two. The thing that's weird about this one, that's magazine number 2. Now, if I put magazine number 1 in, you'll be able to see that when I put it in, it clicks very positively in there. Right? There's no problems there. Now, if I try magazine number 2, this happens. Now, if you shove it, it'll stay, but as you can see, the release has to have a bit of a shove. It just will not click in place sometimes. I have to actually shove it. It's alright if you just, you just shove it in and do that, but it's not really ideal. Yeah, standard gas blowback there. It's a very nice pistol. I do look forward to actually trying it in a skirmish and actually giving it a shot. In terms of the holster I have is a hard shell, which has a slot there for a spare magazine. So you just slide that in with the plate facing forward, so then when you pull it out you can sort of load it in the right way up. Now this was a little stiff when I got it, but the best thing to do is just cram the pistol in there once you've softened it up with some leather nourishing cream or something like that. Just shove the pistol in there in the magazine and just leave it for like days upon days, and that will loosen the thing up, it will stretch it out. That's the best way to get around it. That's it really. Yeah, don't have much more to say on it at the moment until I've actually used it, and I'll do a full-on review. So thanks for watching. If anyone's got any questions concerning anything I've covered in this video, please feel free to post any questions. Feel free to rate, comment, subscribe also. So that's Taz101 Saga signing out. Thanks for watching, guys.
Award-winning Cold Feet on ITV, which we've already seen one of last week. Did very well.